You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can make this possible. Welcome back, Reese Colbert, Black Women Views. Glad to have you back after maternity leave. Dr. Greg Carr, Chair, Department of Afro-American Studies, Howard University. CJ Pearson, Founder, President, Last Hope USA. CJ, I'll start with you. You're one of those folks who participated in a Stop the Steal election in Georgia. You were one of those folks who advanced the big lie. You were one of those folks who lied about the integrity of the elections. You've had Republican Secretary of State in Georgia certify the election. Why do y'all keep lying?
Well, it's not a lie. And then the reality of it is that the facts state that a majority of Republican voters genuinely believe that this election was wrought with fraud.
Hold up. You said the facts. What facts? Because there's been no evidence of voter fraud.
Well, Roland, if you let me answer your question, then maybe I'll get to that. But really what I was speaking to is the fact that the majority of Republican voters believe that this election was wrought with fraud. And I don't know about you, Roland, but when a majority of Americans believe—
No, stop. You didn't say a majority of Americans. You said a majority of Republicans. Don't try to conflate the two. A majority of Americans do not believe the election was that case. You said Republicans.
Well, Republicans represent half—
No, that's not true. You said a majority of Americans. Where are the facts?
Believes.
No, hold on. You said a majority of Americans believe that. Which one is it? Americans or Republicans?
It's not good for democracy when a large portion of the American people believe that our election was stolen and it was wrought with fraud. That is not good for our country.
Do you have any facts of this fraud? Where are the facts? Because if I'm correct, 50 states certified the election. 50 secretaries of state certified it. 60 different courts heard challenges. Y'all lost every time. Where are your facts? Not what people think. Where are your facts to substantiate what you're saying?
Well, based on the current laws that were on the book prior to these incredible election reforms advanced in the state of Georgia, Texas, and Florida, they were able to certify the results based on the current laws on the book. It's why we're reforming the system. It's why we're making it easier to vote and harder to cheat.
No. Hold on. You cited all this voter fraud. CJ, where are the facts? I need to see the evidence of voter fraud. Where is it?
There are many facts.
Where is it? Hold on. Dan Patrick, the Lieutenant Governor of Texas. CJ, Dan Patrick, the Lieutenant Governor of my state, said he will pay $1 million if someone comes forward with evidence of election fraud. He has not paid $1 million. Where's the evidence?
The fact of the matter is, Roland, is that the American people deserve to have confidence in their—
No. CJ, that's a talking point. I'm going to ask you again. Please provide me— No. Please point me to actual facts of election fraud, voter fraud.
Yeah. Look at Ware County, Georgia, when we had a manual recount of the votes where I think 100 or so votes were changed because they were miscounted. Like, that is a real issue.
I'm sorry. Did the Republican Secretary of State state what happened there?
Well, I hate to give you a civics lesson, Roland, but the counting of ballots is done at the local level.
No, I'm aware of that. But who has the jurisdiction over the elections?
The local board of elections conduct the elections. The Secretary of State oversees the elections.
And so if there was actual election fraud, that what you say was claimed there, where's the district attorney? Did they indict anybody?
Well, they should.
No. Yes or no? Did they indict anybody?
Well, I can't speak to the—
Which county was that? Which county was that?
I can't speak to the—
No. Which county was that?
Ware County.
Where?
Ware County.
Is there a Republican DA or a Democrat DA there?
I can't speak to that, but I will say that I'm speaking to what happened with the election voting there, and that happened with the manual recount that occurred. And things like that happen when you have votes literally changed to another candidate, I think people have a right to be afraid about what—
But it's very curious. I'm going to bring in it's very curious, Greg, what you hear what CJ is saying, because he can't provide actual facts. He can't provide this widespread, and he wants us to— well, because Republicans think, well, hell, it's a bunch of folks think Bigfoot real.
Yeah. It's a lot of people that think the United States of America is a nation, too. That's another myth. But, I mean, let's get back to the topic. I got a chance to read the lawsuit that was filed by the NAACP of Florida, Disability Rights Florida, and Common Cause versus the Secretary of State there, Lee. And of course, they're claiming that these new laws will violate Title II of the Americans with Disability Act, Section 1983 and 88 of the Federal Code, Voting Rights Act, Section 2. And that's going to be heard by a Court of Appeals, Northern District of Florida. Ultimately, that'll be appealed to the 11th Circuit. That's one of the many circuits that the Trump administration with the White Nationalist Party was able to flip. And if you read Justice Clarence Thomas's recent dissent in a voting rights case, you know that some of the gaslighting that we just heard found its way into Justice Thomas's dissent. That brings me to the point. Back in December, the American Legislative Executive Council, or ALEC rather, met, and they had a voter integrity working group. So these bills that we're seeing in Georgia and Florida and Texas, these are not individual pieces. They come of a larger piece with an eye toward one objective, and that is to retake the federal legislature and to retake the White House. And let's be very clear. When we start talking about facts and arguing with these folks, we're not on the same page, because this isn't about facts. This isn't about making points, because there is no common identity. The white nationalists that met with ALEC included Hans-on Spakowski, who, of course, we know is a chief architect of this rather ridiculous stuff. Several of the folks who were on Trump's quote-unquote voter integrity commission that fell apart, that was led, if you remember, by the flop sweat brother of the corn-pone governor of Florida, and that would be Chris Kobach, who's right now running for Secretary of State in Kansas and will lose that election as well. But the whole point is to continue gaslight, to continue propagandize, and to shrink the electorate to the point where they can steal elections. Finally, I'll say this. I wish them the best of luck, because I see what people don't seem to understand is you might steal an election, but what you won't then do is get rid of all the people whose vote you stole. This country's going to come apart. And I just hope our young brother, who I'm very glad to see be a freshman there at the University of Alabama, who might sit and read some of these cases and think through some of this legislation and maybe, change some of the language, will have a front row seat in the state of Alabama.
Well, maybe. Well, had he not transferred from Howard, he maybe would learn some of those in your class, but he went to Alabama. Yeah. Let me go to Reese. Reese, it's very interesting. Very interesting. CJ mentioned Ware County, 100 votes. Go to my computer, please. This is the Ware County election supervisor, Carlos Nelson. He told the Associated Press that an election worker made a small tabulation error that involved 37 votes. Quote, election officials discovered the mistake during an internal audit and corrected the figure in the full hand recount of paper ballots. There was never an issue with the technology from Dominion. Quote, there was no vote flipping. The system worked like it should. Oh, by the way, CJ, the 37 votes in Ware County made no difference. That was a county Donald Trump won with 70% of the vote. So you're complaining about, votes being stolen. We're in a county, your guy won with 70% of the vote. I would think that if there was actually voter fraud, a county Trump won by 70% would be probably real aggressive prosecuting those who did, maybe because it doesn't exist. Reese.
It's good to be back. I see not much has changed in my hiatus. Welcome, CJ, to the fire. It's good to see you, Dr. Carr and Roland. Okay, let's just be clear. I mean, we all know what this is all about, right? We've been having the same discussion for years. It's so amazing to me how Republicans cite the system working as designed, which is the system identifying tabulation errors, things of that nature, and corrected them before any kind of election is called as evidence of voter fraud. It's completely absurd. The system is not centralized. It's not perfect in the sense of there are times that there are legitimate errors, but those errors have been discovered. They have been raked over the coals. They have been dissected with a fine-tooth comb, and there's no there. In fact, the only real evidence of voters' fraud has come from the Republicans. Let's remember when there was an entire congressional seat that was not seated for X number of months. I don't remember the exact number of months, because the Republicans were conducting absentee ballot fraud in North Carolina. And so where we've had people, there was a person, I was reading another case of the other day about a Republican who voted for his mother on behalf of his mother, supposedly, in the election. That was a Republican. So what this is all about, it's all about gaslighting, as Dr. Carr said, and it's all about trying to create this fear narrative that makes Republicans believe that the elections are stolen. The fact that CJ is citing that 50% of Republicans are delusional, or 70% of Republicans are delusional and living in an alternate universe in which 2 + 2 does not equal 4, that's not a flex, okay? That's called go get some therapy, go back to math class. You're not smarter than a 5th grader. This is the reality. Ron DeSantis is up for election in 2022. He barely won his election, and we know there were some shenanigans down in Florida with some stuff that was never really fully investigated or even disclosed about voting machine errors down in Florida. I don't know if nobody seems to remember that but me. He barely won that election by the skin of his teeth. He has some people coming for him, perhaps Valdemics or some other heavy hitters. We also have a Senate seat that's up in 2022. And so this is really about solidifying that power. To be honest, Florida is more of a red state than a lot of these other states, and even Georgia at this point. But they aren't going to leave any stone unturned, and they're going to try to put these laws in place so that they can have even larger margins. But the one thing that I think could potentially backfire, in addition to the fact that we have a Biden-Harris DOJ with Merrick Garland at the helm, is that when you do these voter suppressive measures, you give people more time to counteract it. You give them more time to make those arrangements, which is what we saw people do in Georgia and around the country for 2020.
All right, folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment.
It's time to be smart. When we control our institutions, we win. This is the most important news show on television of any racial background. Y'all put $2, $3, $4, $5, $10, $15, $20, $30 on this and keep this going. What you've done, Roland, since this crisis came out in full bloom. Anybody watching this, tell your friends, go back and look at the last 2 weeks, especially of Roland Martin Unfiltered. I mean, hell, go back and look at the last 2 days. You've had sitting United States senators today, Klobuchar and Harris. Whatever you have that you can bring to Roland Martin Unfiltered to support it, please do, because this information may literally save your life.
Watch Roland Martin Unfiltered daily at 6 p.m. Eastern on YouTube, Facebook, or Periscope, or go to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered Daily Digital Show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com.